Hello everybody, welcome into the Heroic Haven, the first video that we're putting out there on the comics universe, everything going on in the MCU. We're going to get into DC, we're going to get into some television stuff. I'm Trevor Lane, joined by Donnie. You guys may know him as DFree. Donnie, excited to get this going.
Yeah, I'm super excited, man. This is awesome. I'm really happy about this.
We're going to today get into the 10 worst moments in the MCU. So let's dive right into it. Let's kick things off. The Mandarin fakeout / Trevor Slattery. Ben Kingsley is a phenomenal actor. I was so excited to see him in this Mandarin role, only to find out he's not the Mandarin at all.
Hey. Bloody hell.
And we were robbed of a comic style Mandarin character. I thought Iron Man 3 maybe gets a little bit too much flack, but still, I was looking forward to seeing Ben Kingsley as a proper Mandarin. And so that fake out, it was more of a disappointment than a fun surprise to me. Let's jump over to the next one. And of course, as we go through, let us know in the comment section whether you agree that these are some of the worst MCU moments. And I suppose I should also mention spoilers ahead, although most of the movies that we're going to be covering here have been out for a few years now.
So.
Yeah, they're pretty old.
I hope you've seen the content in this video. So
that's right. I hope by now you've seen this stuff. But this one, this next one, I know irked a lot of fans, yourself included, Donnie. Maria Hill. What's the story there?
It's so funny because she is a important character up until that point. I mean, sometimes she didn't have a lot of screen time, but she's in the background doing what she does. And when we start off Secret Invasion, she has a prominent role in that too for all of 10 minutes or so. And they kill her off. And it's kind of weird because I think the reporting on Secret Invasion was that it was supposed to be some sort of movie or something like that. Maybe that was a plot line for the movie. Maybe they were going to elaborate more on that. But they kind of just kill her off. And for the first episode, they kind of talk about it, then kind of just move on. It's really weird because, like I said, she's an important character to S.H.I.E.L.D. She's an important character up to that point at different points. And she kind of just has this forgettable moment in the first episode, 10 minutes in, and she's just gone.
It felt like a throwaway, like a waste of the character. Like, yeah, I was expecting to see it turn out that she was a Skrull or something like that. It wasn't really her. It wasn't real. But then no, you just kind of wasted the character in that situation. So I agree with you 100%. I'll tell you another moment that bothered me: the WandaVision Quicksilver. Oh my goodness, the boner joke in all of that. Like we were so fired up. I thought, oh my God, this is the moment. This is it. The X-Men are coming into the MCU. It's happening through Wanda's magic. Here we go. And then it turns out it's all a giant fake out. Man, that was a rough letdown for me because I was so excited to see it happen, to see the Fox version of Quicksilver come into the MCU. I thought walls were being torn down. I thought this was an incredibly important moment, only to find out that it wasn't.
Looking back on that, like obviously in the moment, it was like, is this finally the time? Are we finally going to get this? All that stuff. But in hindsight, it's almost weird that they did the Ralph Boner thing because looking back on it, they kind of, maybe things weren't lined up this way, but if they were to put that series out now, they wouldn't do that, I'd imagine, right? Maybe they would have done something a little bit differently because now the doors have been torn down. Fox is in the MCU, things like that. But at the time, they were still barely dipping their toe in, maybe trying to see if people really were interested in that, getting the X-Men into the MCU, things like that. So kind of a weird thing. Definitely was something that's like, they knew what they were doing and didn't have to do it that way. But I think it was supposed to be more of just like a nice little teaser to fans because obviously he's Quicksilver in the Fox universe. But the way that they did it in the end, where he's just some insignificant guy, it doesn't make much sense to me. It was definitely very disappointing.
It was indeed. Speaking of disappointing, it was supposed to be the big bad in the MCU. Obviously not going to happen today now that we're living in a Doctor Doom world. Ant-Man beating Kang, maybe not exactly the right way to set up your next big bad to fall before the smallest hero in the MCU.
Literally. So I know that a lot of people were upset about this, where they were like, how does Kang lose in this type of movie, in this type of way to Ant-Man? And I saw some reporting that maybe that was like a last minute change. Maybe they weren't going to do it that way. But regardless, I just think that if he's going to be your big bad, and you're setting up these movies around him and the Kang dynasty and all of this stuff. Now, obviously, this has since changed. So in hindsight for this, it kind of just doesn't really matter all that much. They'll probably do some sort of throwaway line where they're like, oh, we're not dealing with Kang anymore.
Do any of them know that we exist yet?
Oh, I guess one of them caused a little bit of a ruckus on
616 adjacent room.
Yeah, it was definitely odd. And I know we get into all of the, and I personally think it was kind of a mess, all the variants and things like that, and go, oh, well, no, there's another Kang. There's a better Kang out there or something that still you're seeing what's supposed to be the big new threatening menace get beat by Ant-Man. And that's not ideal. I think there were other ways to get around that. Maybe one of the more disappointing things that we saw in the Kang situation, aside from, well, what happened after that. But, one of the moments that really, I know it frustrated me, frustrated a lot of fans, Star-Lord punching Thanos. This is in Infinity War. They've got him. They've got to like Spider-Man is just about, Peter Parker's just about to pull off the Infinity Gauntlet. And they've got him all wrapped up. Mantis has him in that sleep thing that she does. And then Star-Lord gets all angry over Gamora and punches Thanos, and he breaks free and retains the gauntlet. I know it was an incredibly frustrating moment, but it just seemed kind of out of character for Star-Lord, because what it did to me is it made Star-Lord appear selfish because of what's on the line. You're talking about, yes, he's upset that his girlfriend died and all that, but we're talking about billions upon billions of lives across the universe that are at stake, and he can't put that in front of his own personal feelings. That, I thought, was not a great look for Star-Lord, and certainly was a frustrating moment because they were so close right there.
I do think it makes him look selfish, but I do kind of empathize a little bit, because when you look at what's happened to him up to that point, he's lost everything. He lost his mom, his dad, basically, as well. He had to get rid of him. He lost his Gamora, and then obviously that doesn't turn out too great for him afterwards in the future, where they got a new one, but it's not his. It does make him look selfish, and it's really unfortunate how that all kind of went down. And it was interesting because I just checked out that clip again, and something that came to me was Iron Man is trying to be the voice of reason, like, hey, just cool it. We've almost got this off. And, prior to that, Iron Man was in a similar situation with Bucky as well, obviously in a much smaller scale, where you're comparing that to like what Thanos is trying to do. But nonetheless, it was still pretty interesting to see that. And like I said, I do kind of empathize with him a little bit, but just in the moment, it's like, dude, we got this guy beat. Like it's supposed to, we're going to win right here. Right. And like I told you right before we started recording, I think it's funny in retrospect how it's like, oh, out of all of these possibilities, it took Star-Lord punching Thanos. How do they wind up actually losing that in that scenario where they take the glove from him? I need to know the answer to that. Strange, if you're watching, please let me know. I need to know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right? Yeah. Because there was only one out of however many it was. Yeah. The millions upon of scenarios. So there had to be scenarios where they actually got the gauntlet away from him, and then somehow they didn't wind up winning. But that is indeed something that maybe that will be a what if that we could see sometime in the future, which is a great series as well. All right, let's jump over to No Way Home, which was a great movie, but not enough interaction between Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and the Green Goblin.
To me, that whole movie with like the interactions kind of was a little bit weird. Like the only one that really stands out too much is like Tobey and Dr. Octopus, where they have that little scene. He's like, hey, how are you? And even that didn't seem like they actually even recorded that face to face. I'm not really sure what they did there. Some trickery to make it look like they were face to face, but there was nothing. I don't think they even fought each other really in the movie in between him and Green Goblin, which is kind of weird because I have to go back and watch it. So I could obviously be wrong. If anybody's watching, correct me if I'm mistaken. Maybe there was some webs thrown here or there. I'm not really sure, but it was kind of weird because there was no like memorable moment from that, given what Green Goblin means to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man as well. Instead, they opt to give the big fight scene with the Goblin to Tom, which is fine. He's the new Spider-Man. But, it just was kind of weird how that all kind of broke down. And I wish there was a little bit more there. Maybe if there was some sort of deleted scene type of thing. I believe actually there was some stuff that got cut. I saw some set photos of them, I believe, interacting back then. Again, correct me if I'm mistaken. It's been a couple years. But I feel like they left some meat on the bone with that one.
See, I thought there was kind of the redemption moment where Tobey saves the Goblin at the end from getting impaled by his glider, which is exactly how he died in his universe, and trying to correct that. But you're right. Would have been, anytime you can get Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe on the screen together, you'd like to see a little bit more of that. Overall, great movie. But I'm with you there. All right. One of the other things that really bothered me. Look, I think this movie is underrated. I watched it again the other day, and I think this one is underrated. Avengers: Age of Ultron, and it was. I liked it. You got the Hulk versus the Hulkbuster scene and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk more about the Hulkbuster in just a minute. But you've got Quicksilver, whose whole thing is he's faster than bullets, and he gets killed by bullets. Like, come on, I know they wanted to add gravity to the situation and all of that.
Yeah.
But of all the ways to have Quicksilver die, to die by getting hit by bullets, that especially when at the time you've got the X-Men Quicksilver out there where basically he's so fast that like time stops around him and he can move bullets in the air and all of that. To see Quicksilver go out the way that he did in Age of Ultron was a disappointment.
It's just a funny way to have a speedy character go down, just have them being beaten by bullets. Because a lot of times when they show you how fast these characters are, they do things like you said, they slow down time around them. They'll have other objects like bullets. They'll obviously be dancing around them, doing circles around them. They don't do anything to them. And then this guy, he decides that the best, or what they decided for him to do in the movie script, I guess, is the best thing for him to do is get hit by the bullets. So that doesn't make much sense to me. It's also a very wasted character because he goes out like that, and there's so much that could have been there for him in the future. I'm not sure why they kind of just threw him away like that.
Yeah, it was part of the reason why I was so excited before in WandaVision when suddenly I'm like, okay, the character's coming back into the MCU. They're going to bring in the X-Men version. He's going to be in. Because it was disappointing to see him kind of wasted the way that he was. It's like Quicksilver being killed by bullets is like Aquaman drowning or something. I mean, come on, that part was ridiculous. All right,
was that also his introduction movie as well? Were they both introduced in that movie? Yeah,
I believe so. I think he was in a post credit before
post credit. Oh, that's right. That's right.
That was the first full movie. All right, there were a lot of issues with Thor: Love and Thunder. Still a fun watch. There were a lot of issues, but a fun watch. But the whole Mjolnir is Thor's ex-girlfriend dynamic. You thought that ran a bit stale as that movie went on.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this one pretty short. But I liked it at first. I actually liked Love and Thunder. I thought it was a good comedic movie. I didn't really like how they treated Gore. I didn't really love a lot of the Jane stuff. I didn't really care about some of the character stuff. Thor was a bit, like I said, too jokey. But as a popcorn movie, I could sit down and kind of just laugh at. I enjoyed it from that perspective. The Mjolnir thing, though, I was like, this is at first I thought it was pretty funny the first couple times, but after a while I was like, all right, we kind of just need to move on from it a little bit.
Yeah, they went a little bit too far with Love and Thunder, I thought, in terms of the jokes and things like that. And yes, the Mjolnir thing did get a bit annoying. Still, worthwhile, worth watching. And I'll tell you what, my daughter, I know people hate the screaming goats. My daughter loved that part. That hit, that hit the kid dynamic. So they did some things right there, but yeah, it was a bit overplayed. The whole Mjolnir is this, the girlfriend that and the girl that he's with, it's the meme where the guy's with the girl and he can't help but turn and look at the other, that's the Mjolnir situation. It just got a little played out. This bothered me, maybe more than any of the other ones. The Hulk's redemption arc in Infinity War and in Endgame just kind of erased. So at the beginning of Infinity War, as a way to show like Thanos is the big bad, he's not to be messed with, he's that guy, he beats up the Hulk, right? And that's a big deal. And then it affects the Hulk's confidence. He doesn't want to come out anymore and all of that. And you've got that crisis here between Banner and Hulk. You've got a situation where Iron Man needs him, Doctor Strange needs him. You get the Black Order shows up and they're there and they're ready to they're trying to take the time stone from Doctor Strange and he can't Hulk out. Right? He's not there. And you've got that progressing throughout the movie. From my understanding, it was supposed to culminate in at the very end of the movie when Cull Obsidian is beating up on Banner in the Hulkbuster armor, that Hulk is supposed to break out of the Hulkbuster armor. In fact, I think there's even some promotional stuff that went around showing Hulk standing there watching as people are like, as they're Thanos snapping out of existence, as the blip is occurring. Instead, they decided to stick with the Hulk still refuses to come out of the armor, refuses to accept the challenge. I thought that would have been an amazing moment to see the Hulk actually burst out of the Hulkbuster armor, a culmination of it. Instead, what we got was between movies, they fixed everything. Banner and Hulk fixed everything between movies, and suddenly we get Professor Hulk without necessarily getting to see any of that development. And then he never got his kind of rematch with Thanos. Yes, he kind of got the redemption of that. The Hulk got to be the one to undo everything with the snap. But overall, that was maybe of everything that we've talked about here, that was my most disappointing movement. I felt like the Hulk got robbed of his redemption.
Because he didn't get the chance to fight with Thanos again at the end?
Because he didn't get a chance to fight with Thanos, and we never got to see him get over. He couldn't recover mentally from getting his butt kicked by Thanos, and we never got to see him actually recover from that. I thought breaking out of the Hulkbuster armor would have been an epic moment. But on top of that, I thought it would have meant a lot to his character.
I think the Hulk in general has been pretty weirdly handled in the MCU. I think that there's so much left for him to do. The way that they treat him sometimes, also like you said, he got jobbed for Thanos to look like the big guy. I didn't really love that either. And I think that the way that they have shifted the character to be more of like, smart Hulk, things like that, doesn't really lend itself to what a lot of fans want to see. A lot of fans wanted to see Hulk raging out, things like that in general, in my opinion. So I think that they definitely could have done more with him, should have done more with him. And it's unfortunate that it was kind of between movies that they handled a lot of that turmoil with Hulk.
All right, let's finish up with Venom's very short stint in the MCU. I know that one bothered you.
That one was just like, so like when that happened, it's like, oh my God, Venom is in the MCU. Like, this is huge, right? And by the end of No Way Home, he's like right back and nothing happens. So very unfortunate, very unfortunate. But hey, they left the symbiote, so maybe that matters. But it still wouldn't be the Venom that we have been watching in these movies. But maybe it'll be a better Venom. I don't know. But still, I thought that there was so much more for that. You go back to that moment. He's like watching him on the TV. He's like, that guy, this and that. Oh, we're gonna see something epic, and no, nothing happens. It doesn't matter. In fact, he gets blipped right back. So
yeah, that was certainly frustrating. It's like, I think we get these moments built up and we think, oh my gosh, walls are crashing down. And spoiler alert here for anybody who has not seen Wolverine and Deadpool, just, maybe pause for just a second and fast forward like 20 seconds here. But we thought the same thing was going to happen in Wolverine and Deadpool, that, okay, Deadpool's entering the MCU, walls are coming down. No, not quite yet. They keep building us up to these points. We thought, okay, Venom's in the MCU. Let's go. Quicksilver is from the X-Men universe, is in the MCU. Let's go. And then, okay, I think eventually it is fully officially going to happen. But another fake out here would have been a lot of fun to watch. Venom versus Spider-Man. This Venom, not the Venom from Spider-Man 3, because that was not so great. That was not so great.
Yeah, maybe, like I said, maybe it'll be a better Venom in the future when they build up another character. So we'll see what happens with that. So if you don't want to be anything like that scoundrel Venom and you want to stick around here on the Heroic Haven, make sure you check out this video on the screen now that we did where we talked about the cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content, and we'll see you next time.